राव रोड की तरफ। राव रोड से आगे आगे ओरिएंटल बैंक ऑफ कॉमर्स आएगा। हाँ जी, ओरिएंटल बैंक जब कॉमर्स आएगा ना उसके साथ ही लेफ्ट टर्न ले लेना, अंदर को गली जा रही है। जैन पैकवेल, अब वहाँ आ जाइए। वहाँ ओरिएंटल बैंक के साथ ही ना गली में आओगे, राइट हैंड पहली गली छोड़ के दूसरी की कॉर्नर पे है आपकी।
Today I'm at the Sikh Golden Temple in Amritsar. This was probably the main thing that I wanted to see in India. It's amazing. I don't know, it is a beautiful building. It's much bigger than I expected, I'll be honest. It was quite strange approaching it because it's something that I recognised. You know, you're in a totally alien place and then it's like you've got an old friend because I've just seen it in so many pictures over the years, and we have a lot of Sikhs in Britain and I've quite a lot of contact with them, so you know it's something I'm very familiar with, but even so to be here it's really quite an experience. The whole hassle of India, the whole please mister all the time, it's just suddenly gone within the precincts, and there's an amazing sense of calm and peace, even though it's busy. I believe, let's just have a look there, the actual central temple itself. Look at the queues of people. You know, it wasn't that busy when I queued to go in. It's still busy. And you see the place with the two minarets over there. That's the langar. That's the communal kitchen. Part of the Sikh religion is that you provide food for people. And when I was in the last Gurdwara that I went, the Shishganj Gurdwara in Delhi, the guy explained to me why that is, and he said, you know, when you've got an empty stomach, you can't think of God. So the Guru says, fill your stomach, then come to God. And I think there's some sense in that. And it is quite beautiful because when you go in there, you just sit down and everybody's together. You're all in a line, and I can be sitting next to some kind of beggar or a woman, which for example in Islam is totally unthinkable. And your race, your creed, nothing matters. You're all equal. They say that the actual temple itself has 4 entrances because of the 4 castes. And Sikhism in many ways is kind of a prayer against the caste system. It's a prayer for equality. Although of course, most Sikhs marry according to caste, and in fact the Guru himself married his kids according to caste, so it's still there. Yeah, the 4 entrants. I have to say that, Christian figures aside, probably the most momentous religious figure, or the most inspirational religious figure I've ever found is Guru Nanak, who was the founder of the Sikh religion. And he was meditating one day, and he came back after 3 days, actually, and just said, there's no Hindu, there's no Muslim, in other words, we're all children of God. Then he went on 4 journeys, north, south, east and west. He went to Mecca, he went to Varanasi, he went up to the Himalayas, he went down to Sri Lanka. Some say he even went to the Holy Land. I'd like to think he did. And I just think that's right, because I think seeking God through pilgrimage is right. And I must admit, as I was queuing up there, I read, I got my copy of the New Testament out, and I read the Sermon on the Mount. And it seemed right. There's no judgment here. There's no like, oh, you're a different creed, you're inferior to us. It's beautiful. That's all I can say. And that's all I'm going to talk about. As you can see, I'm back at the Golden Temple. Except that I'm not. This is the Sri Durgyana Hindu temple, and the most remarkable thing for me is that it looks exactly like the Golden Temple. Got one Sikh and the other's Hindu, which begs a question as to why do they look so similar. One of the most interesting things I've been exploring since being in Amritsar is how Sikhism kind of evolved. It is a very distinct religion from Hinduism these days, but Guru Nanak actually started off as a Hindu, and there's a movement that I'd read about, and they've got a temple right by the Golden Temple called the Udashi movement, and they basically, instead of following the line of the Gurus, they follow the line of Guru Nanak's son. And I went in their temple, I actually thought it was a Hindu temple. I mean, you had Ganesha in there, you had Krishna in there, and there was no book, there was just idols. And it was just amazing to think that Guru Nanak's message could have gone in such different ways. But you know what, looking at this place here, which is the kind of main Hindu temple in the city, and Amritsar probably is a majority Hindu city, the Sikhs tend to be rural. It's virtually identical to the Golden Temple, which shows you where they got the design from, the square mandir plan, for example. And they've even got a langa. Haven't tried it because I was kind of ill last night, and I'm still feeling very, very delicate. I'm wishing I was at home, but that's life. But yeah, the Hindus and the Sikhs are not that different after all. जिंदाबाद।
हिंदुस्तान जिंदाबाद, हिंदुस्तान जिंदाबाद। कृपया अपने स्थान पर बैठ जाएं।
today I'm in Agra and I'm at the tomb of Emperor Akbar. Being a bit of a socialist, I suppose you could wonder why I'm going around visiting the tomb of emperors. But there was a special reason that I wanted to come here. Akbar was the greatest of all the Mughal emperors. And although he was a Muslim, what he's most remembered for is his tolerance towards everybody. He famously took a Hindu wife, which is done Bollywood style in the film Jodha Akbar, which was against the wishes of the Muslim establishment. And he regularly used to have priests and Sikhs and Hindus, as well as different kinds of Muslims in his palace to debate religious matters. In many ways, he is the father of India, because India can only succeed if it's tolerant. And that's why I wanted to come here. Yeah, it's a great building, but to me, and one says this very rarely with royal buildings, he knows he's a great man. And interestingly enough, earlier today I actually visited a shrine, the mui-i-din shrine in Delhi, which is the shrine of the Sufi saint that he most revered. And I think that tells us a lot, because the Sufis we don't hear of so much now, but they were very, very big in Akbar's day, and they are the tolerant side of Islam. And they're very spiritual. Yeah, you get the odd mad one, I'll accept that, but by and large, it's not about following the rules, it's about opening your heart to God. And I must admit, when I was at that shrine, I felt it to be a powerful place I want to revisit later. But that is later. Now, Emperor Akbar. I'm here today in the place that I think most men would like to be in, which is the harem of Akbar's palace. And as somebody who's watched Jodha Akbar, I guess that would have been a great place to be in its day. I'd hoped to make a video from Taj Mahal today, but that's not possible because you're not allowed to take videos inside. So instead I'm in the Agra fort. I mean, this is amazing. There are truly some world-class stuff to see in India, and this is, without doubt, one of the best forts I've ever been to. The preservation of the buildings is fantastic, particularly considering it's sandstone. The sheer size, the opulence, and knowing a little of the history does help. However, you know, I did say I wanted to make a video of the Taj Mahal. I couldn't do it when I was there, but don't worry, because I can still see it. Yeah.
Pink city, my country color,
Yeah.
all color, pink color.
Absolutely love these carvings all around the tomb of one of the Rajasthani leaders. I think they're amazing, all depicting scenes from his life. I'm here at the Jagar Palace at the moment, near to Ajmer. It's an absolutely amazing place, perched on the top of a hill. It's over there, Indian military radar station, one presumes from listening to Pakistan, which is not too far away. But the ancient walls, this is where they used to bring water to the floor. And they brought the water from that reservoir down there. And then this is Ajmer. That is the famous Ajmer Fort, which I'm going to go and visit later. Before we do that, it's probably best time to relax in the formal gardens of the Maharaja of Rajasthan. Yeah. Jain temple in Ajmer. I only came on an off chance because I went to the main Sufi shrine there. But inside there's this incredible model. This is I think it's the Jain concept of the universe, I think. Where all the continents are like concentric circles around the golden mountain of Sumer, which round the planets are said to revolve. I'm assuming that the boats are the planets, but that's only half the model, because there's another one over there. And this is a golden city. I think this is the city of Georgia, which is, I suppose, is important for Jains. Don't know much about their religion, I can't really say. Although I did go to a Jain temple once, and it was very much like a Buddhist temple, except the guy was naked. Anyway, that's the golden city. Hello, I'm sat in the cathedral in Ajmer. The reason I'm making the video here is it's about the quietest place I've found in India. I want to talk to you about Ajmer. I stopped off today because I wanted to visit a very famous Sufi shrine. It was probably after the Golden Temple, the main reason for coming to India. Well, I've been there and I didn't take a video in there because you're not allowed to take cameras in. What did I think of it? Well, to be honest, unlike the last Sufi shrine that I went to in Fatehpur, Puri, this one, I didn't find it that powerful. I was hoping I would. This is the one that actually Emperor Akbar walked to when he wanted a son. But it was just so crowded, and you couldn't even circle the tomb, and people just throwing rose leaves, blankets onto the tomb itself. I did sit and pray for a while, and it was quite interesting because whilst I was sat and praying there, I was actually reminded of the temple, and the temple that Jesus used to visit, and when he actually threw out all the money changers and hawkers from the temple. And I think it brought it home to me, the story of the temple, because that's what it was like. It was a holy place, but it was so commercial and so back busy, and run by very efficient guardians of the shrine who were holy men in all the right dress, and it just kind of said Pharisees to me. And I think it brought it home just how brave Christ was to actually challenge that, because I wouldn't have dared to challenge it. In fact, I think all things. So that were my thoughts on the Sufi Dargah in Ajmer. Now I'm somewhere a lot more peaceful, very British. A little piece of England, although actually Scotland, which apparently was built by the Church of Scotland. Robson Cathedral, it's called, after the vicar who founded it. Came on horseback from Bombay, according to the verger. It's rather pleasant. So here is the temple, with the money changers and the hawkers of doves and whatever, all thrown out. Hello, I'm in Portugal, and I want to make a bit of a vlog today where I just reflect on suppose the whole of the trip, as well as what I'm doing here. It's a bit about Pushkar. It's a Hindu holy city, a few miles from Ajmer, over there, and it's centered around a little lake, and there are bathing ghats around the lake. I suppose you could say it's a bit like a mini Varanasi. It's one of the 7 Hindu holy cities, and people come here to pray to the gods. It's also quite unusual because it's got one of the very, very few temples in India dedicated to Brahma, which is the one god. That's the original god, rather than all these other manifestations like Krishna, Shiva, and Ganesha, and so on and so forth. What do I think of it? Well, I'll be honest with you, I really like the place. I didn't know if I would beforehand because it has a reputation of being a total traveller hangout, and I thought, oh my god, this is going to be like just touristy and tacky and awful. And it is touristy. There's no two ways about it. I have not seen this much tie-dye and linen and people who think they're really cool since I went to Thailand, I think. It is a touristy place, but it was what I needed in the respect that it's a small place, 14,000 people, and after all the noise and the hassle and the bustle of all the cities, these vast cities of India, this crowded country that it is, it's a bit of peace and quiet, except when the drums start up in the temples. And I need that, and I'll be honest, I've just sat, I've hung out, I've been down to the lake, I've read books, I've relaxed, and I've reflected on my time in India. And what do I think of it? Well, before I came, everyone said, oh, you love it, and I said, I don't know, I'll either love it or hate it. Because I do know people who really did not like the place, and I know other people who totally fallen in love with it. When I first arrived in Delhi, I hated it. Looking back now, I realise that for the first time in many years, I was experiencing culture shock. Although I do travel a lot, and I travel every year to different places, this is the first time in a few years I've been to a third world country. And third world countries always do hit you like a smack in the face. The energy, the noise, the hassle. But also I think what affected me is it just reminded me of Vietnam, and it reminded me of Ho Chi Minh City, and people who know me quite well know that actually I spent too long in Ho Chi Minh City, and towards the end it was really beginning to annoy me, and I found it a very frustrating place. And basically, when I arrived in Delhi, I just thought, oh my god, I've paid all this money to go back to a place that I don't like, which is Ho Chi Minh City. My view softened when I got to Amritsar, and it softened because of the Golden Temple, which, as I said earlier, was one of the most incredible places I have ever been. It's an amazing, amazing place. But that's a Golden Temple, and inside its precincts it was peaceful, there was a sanctity about it. But outside it was just like Delhi. Amritsar is a city, it's not a particularly pretty city. And Golden Temple aside, I wouldn't have liked it. I then went to Agra, which is obviously going to be hassle city because it's the most touristy place in all of India. You know, it's where the Taj Mahal is. And my view again differed. Agra as a city, take it or leave it, there's nothing special about it. But by this time I was getting used to the hassle, I was getting used to the pressure to buy all the time, the constant noise, the constant energy. And I, having lived in the third world before, actually began to help me now because it helped me get used to it far quicker than I perhaps would have done normally. And of course in Agra there's the Taj Mahal, I also went to Agra too, I also went to Agra Fort. I mean, those are world-class monuments, and I don't say that lightly. I have travelled a lot around the world, and there are a few places I've been that can compare to those. They are incredible. And India is full of world-class stuff. I mean, I went on a day trip to Fatehpur Sikri, which is the kind of capital that Akbar established, and then it was deserted because the water supply wasn't very good. And it was world-class, it was incredible. There was a Sufi shrine there, and I found it a powerful place. And so I was getting the opinion that, yeah, India's got pockets of brilliance in amongst this sea of third world hassle and filth and energy. But and Ajmer again, more of the same really. But I have to say that, you know, I come here and there is an India that's less hassly. I'm not saying you don't get any hassle. And I'm getting far more used to it. I'm getting far more used to saying no. I was just pretty good at it anyway, but you know, I'm better at it now. And I think once you let India seep into your veins, you begin to quite like the place. A lot of the kind of hippie type people here, you know, they're all doing a certain trail that goes down to Goa, and there's Pushkar in it, and all these, you know, Varanasi is probably on there as well. And before, you know, if you'd said to me, oh, do you ever fancy going to Kerala or Goa in the south, I'd say, that's not really what I'm interested in, mate. I'm interested in the Mughal stuff, I'm interested in northern India culture more than southern. But you know what? As I am now, I wouldn't mind a week on a beach in Goa. And I think you need those to kind of cope with the rest of India, which is not something I'm used to. It's not something, you know, like you get in Romania, Bulgaria, Albania, Ukraine, Bosnia, or any of the other countries that I've been visiting recently. But this is the third world, not the second. And, you know, that's how it was in Vietnam. You needed that time in villages, you needed that time on a beach just to recover from life in the third world. And at the time when I was living there, I used to say it's like existence is like this eternal war between good and evil. The whole of humanity is engaged in this war. You know, we get tempted, we can do good, we can do bad. But at the end of the day, where we live in the developed world or the first world, it's like, you know, if you imagine the First World War, we're packing the boxes, we're packing the gunpowder. It's vital to make the whole thing work, but we're actually away from the front line. But the third world is the front line, you know. We can feel bad about poverty, we can feel bad about injustice in the first world, but in the third world, it's in your face. And you actually can't get anywhere by being an honest man or woman. You have to bribe. You have to take advantage of people's poverty or whatever it is. And if you say that's not the case, then you're a liar, because, you know, the fact that everybody likes it because their prices are cheap. Their prices are cheap because they don't pay people anything. Because people are living hand to mouth. And the norm is to live like that, to take advantage, to bribe, to actually succumb to temptation, to actually exist, to just survive. Whereas in the developed world, we don't have to do that. We can actually pretend we're good people without doing anything like that. But at the same time, whilst it's so much easier to become a sinner, it's also so much easier to become a saint. And I think that's why religion does play such a role here, because people recognise the odd person who, you know, they've got wealth and they don't flaunt it, they don't use it. That's why people like Mahatma Gandhi, you know, are revered because of the way they live their lives. Well, it's about it from Pushkar. I'm going to make another little video of the lake. I'm going to go down at sunset. It's an incredibly beautiful place. But at the moment I'm on the roof of my hotel, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you a bit of panorama of the whole town. What you will see is the whole town. It's not a big place. But later on you will see the bit that matters. The Holy Lake, which apparently Brahma dropped a lotus blossom. That's how it nice. See you later. And here we are in the sacred pool of Pushkar.
तेरे दर पे झुका हूँ मिटा हूँ बना हूँ तेरे दर पे झुका हूँ मिटा हूँ बना हूँ मरम्मत मुकद्दर की कर दो मौला मौला
Here I am in the heart of New Delhi, which is what the British built. Also had in Lutyens design. Great capital for the greatest of colonies.
Sir, Indian helicopters.
I'm at the centre today of the Baha'i faith in New Delhi. It's one of, I think, about 9 temples spread across the different continents of the world, of what they call the Baha'i world faith. I think about 3 million people follow it. I have heard of it before. I actually went to the shrine of the founder in Haifa in Israel. It seems to be a very inclusive faith. It believes in one God and basically says all religions are going towards the same thing. It was really interesting to find out more. But you know what? Totally impossible. I went to the information centre, it's shut. The library, nobody in there. And the woman who's selling all the religious blurb doesn't really speak English. So I can't really tell you a great deal more about the Baha'i faith, except that inside that big lotus petal temple, which you're not allowed to photograph, it's very empty and kind of minimalist. A bit like one of those awful trendy cathedrals they built in the 60s. Oh well, that's the Baha'i temple for you. Hello. I'm here in the garden of Humayun's tomb. It's often called the mini Taj Mahal. It's one of the most famous landmarks in Delhi. What I'm going to talk to you about today is not the tomb, but about what I've been doing. Because what I've been doing today is something that I very rarely do, and that is spending money. And I've been shopping. And it's my last day in India, so now's the day to buy stuff. Let's have a look what I've got. Squeaky Doraemons. When I was in Japan, Doraemon was like totally popular everywhere. Why? Because he's cool. He's got a friend called Nobita, and he was actually invented by a guy who lived in the same county as I lived in Japan. But strangely, I never bought a Doraemon in Japan, so I bought one in India. Because the other day I put the telly on, and on no less than 4 separate channels there were different Doraemon cartoons. So it was obviously pretty popular here. Talking of telly, I bought some DVDs. I've got Deepak Matter, Elements movie trilogy, Water, Fire, and 1947. Oh, that's Earth. No. I've got Razia Sultan. I've got Umanao Jan, the original version. And I've got Devdas. You might be asking, why am I buying all these Bollywood movies? The fact is, on virtually every film that I've made so far, I've ended up talking about Jodha Akbar. It's a good film. But that made me think, do you know what? I probably need to see a few more different Bollywood films. Plus, these are useful for teaching. Now you can look at this in 2 ways. You can look at this, what a great guy and what a great teacher Matt is, because he goes all the way to India and he's thinking of his class. And he's thinking of, you know, broadening their cultural education, like movies about the Mughal Empire, about the Nawab period, and about the partition, like for He's trying to bring culture to the people. You could look at it that way. You could also look at it as, oh look, there's Matt actually trying to get out of teaching again. And he's gone to a country that's cheap and bought a load of cheap DVDs, because he'll pay less for them there than he will in Birmingham, where they're about 20 quid a throw. Let me just put it like this. I like to think that teaching is quite a holistic thing. We don't just learn in the contemporary methods. We can learn through CDs, through just sitting and chatting, and through DVDs, particularly Bollywood ones. In fact, are not some of the most educational videos you've ever watched the ones that I'm making and posting on YouTube? Yeah, of course they are. And just to finish off with the spot of culture, there's the Doom again. Shrine Hazrat Nizamuddin Chisti. This Sufi shrine I'm actually allowed to video inside, and I have to say I find it, although it's busy and yes, you know, you give money and you throw rose petals, I find it a lot more genuine than the one in Ajmer. It's going to be my last video from India. That's been an incredible trip. To be honest, the way I'm thinking at the moment, I'd like to come back for more. And if you want to know why, just look at this. I've been to holy places, the Sikhs, the Hindus, and the Muslims. Even been to church twice. And there is something about the place. And if you don't believe me, just watch.
अनजान व्यक्ति को घर में न बैठाएं। किसी अजनबी व्यक्ति को अपना
जय